Hey everyone, welcome to The Explainer from the Wall Street Club. We're about to dive deep into the story of David Siegel, a computer scientist who pretty much rewrote the rules of finance. $60 billion. Let that sink in for a second. That's about how much his company Sigma has in assets under management. And what's wild is that it's a quantitative investing powerhouse that honestly acts more like a tech company than a traditional hedge fund.
Yeah, that quote pretty much sums up the whole vibe of the company. It's all about tech and innovation. So who is the mind behind this, financial science company? Okay, let's dive in. So here's how we're going to break it down. We'll start with that $60 billion mystery. Then we'll look at his path to Wall Street. He was a real prodigy. We'll get into his whole philosophy of investing as a science. Then things get interesting when we talk about his take on technology's double-edged sword. And finally, we'll see how he's trying to code a better future.
All right, first up, the $60 billion mystery. Before we really get into Siegel himself, you have to understand his creation, Sigma. He co-founded it way back in 2001 with John Overdeck.
Now, if you look at who works there, it tells you everything you need to know. This place is basically a tech company that happens to do finance. I mean, 2/3 of their entire staff, that's out of like 1,600 people, are in R&D. We're talking about 250 people with PhDs. They're not just hiring traders, they're hiring actual scientists.
And this whole tech-first approach, it isn't random at all. It's a direct reflection of Siegel himself. So let's take a look at his path from code to capital. Siegel was, a born computer scientist. Growing up in the Bronx, this kid showed an unbelievable talent for tech right from the start. I mean, by 12 years old, he was building his own memory boards and programming supercomputers at New York University. Can you even imagine?
And his career path from there, it's just a straight line up. He goes from Princeton to getting his PhD at MIT's legendary Artificial Intelligence Lab. Then he jumps to Wall Street working at these pioneering quant firms. At D.E. Shaw, he was actually the first chief information officer and worked alongside Jeff Bezos, before Amazon was Amazon. Then Tudor Investments. And finally, in 2001, he co-founds Sigma. So what was the big idea? What was he trying to do differently?
Okay, Section 3, Investing as a Science. This is where it all comes together. Siegel looked at the total chaos of financial markets and thought, there has to be a better way. His big idea was to apply a super rigorous, time-tested framework to it all.
And he did this by championing a field we now call quantitative trading, or quant for short. The idea is simple but revolutionary. You treat investing not like an art, not something based on gut feelings or hunches. Instead, you treat it like a scientific problem, a puzzle you can solve with enough data and enough computing power. So how do you do it? Well, in a Wall Street Journal piece, Siegel laid it all out. He said the best strategy isn't some newfangled algorithm, it's actually from the 17th century. It's the scientific method. You start with the hypothesis about how the market works, you gather and clean tons of data to test it, you use machine learning to find patterns, and then you adjust, you refine, and you do it all over again. It's a cycle that takes human emotion, fear and greed, right out of the equation.
Okay, and a quick but important note here. Just have to say that everything in this explainer is for educational purposes only. It is absolutely not financial advice. All the information we're using comes from sources that are publicly available.
All right, so he's a huge success in finance. But Siegel didn't stop there. He started to look at the bigger picture, at technology's impact on society. And he realized it's a double-edged sword.
He's written a lot about this, about the two faces of AI and automation. On the one hand, he's warning that, it could wipe out a ton of middle-skill jobs, and that social media algorithms can push us into these divided little bubbles. But on the other hand, he's also optimistic. He sees it creating totally new kinds of jobs for people who have the right skills, and he thinks it's the single best way to find knowledge buried in all the unstructured data out there.
And his warning gets even more serious. He's openly worried that we're becoming so dependent on technology so fast that we're accidentally creating a world that's, not really meant for us. He said, we may not be building a world that is meant for humans. That's a chilling thought.
But here's the thing. For Siegel, this isn't just some abstract idea he writes about. He is actively putting his own money and resources into trying to solve this problem, to get society ready for the future he sees on the horizon.
Back in 2011, he started the Siegel Family Endowment, and its whole mission is to support organizations that are working on these exact problems, the intersection of learning, work, and what he calls infrastructure, which is basically the institutions of our society. They fund projects that help people and communities deal with all this rapid change.
And you can really see his passion for education with the Scratch Foundation, which he co-founded.
It's this amazing free online community that helps millions of kids learn how to code, but more than that, how to think creatively and logically. So for him, it's not just about building today's technology. It's about empowering the people who are going to build tomorrow's.
David Siegel's journey is pretty incredible, right? From a computer prodigy to a quant pioneer and now a public intellectual. And it all kind of leaves us with this one provocative thought. If technology is rewriting the very rules of our world, who should be the ones writing the code?
If you want more deep dives on the people who are shaping our world, make sure you're following the Wall Street Club's official account. And hey, if you found this interesting, please give it a like and share it with someone. Thanks so much for watching.